It's Pastor David, and I'm here with our Thursday update. And today we have a very special guest. And I am really thrilled to have with us Jared Tucker, who is our new Director of Student Ministries. Welcome, Jared.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I'm excited for this conversation, and I'm excited to start this journey at First United Methodist Winter Park.
Yeah, we are super excited that you're here. We know that we believe God has really placed you here, and we're looking forward to the years of fruitful ministry and good times together. So welcome to the family.
Thank you.
So I wanted to know a little bit about how you felt called into youth ministry or student ministry. How did you get started? How did it all begin for you?
Yeah, so my call began in between my 8th and 9th grade year. During the summer, I had the opportunity to go to this big conference for students. And on the way home, we took one of those charter buses. And on the way home, people were just unpacking the week. And the stories that stood out to me were the stories in which people were called to ministry. And so God used the collective story of calling into ministry from my peers to invite me into ministry. And so I went home, I told my parents were so excited about this. They were like, we can't wait to see what this is going to be, because my parents were super involved in the church. Like, they did everything that you could as a lay leader at the church. And so they were really excited. And my mom started telling everyone. And so we went to this one denominational meeting. I grew up Nazarene. It was this meeting, and I had pastors coming up to me saying, like, "Oh, we hear you're going to be a pastor. If you ever need anything, let me know." And that that started to like freak me out a little bit, just because I was like, "Oh, this is becoming real, right?" And up until that point, I was homeschooled, and I was about to go to school, like public school, for the first time. And so I didn't want to be the new kid, the kid who's going to be in ministry, all of that. So I was like, being the main leader in student ministry isn't for me. I'll support, but I don't think I want to be called to this. So fast forward to my senior year, I had plans to go into broadcasting. I actually was able to host and produce my own local TV show called Sports Talk Live. And but God invited me again into ministry. So we were in youth group one night, and I just felt that call to ministry. So I accepted that call, went to college for youth ministry, and I had different internships each summer surrounding youth ministry. And God really used those internships and mentors to continue to call me to ministry.
Yeah. Well, that's an amazing story. You have like the sense of insight through your experience. You have confirmation at some level through your parents and through your church community. You have, a working through of your doubts, which I think we all go through, and then yet this inner sense again that this is supposed to work. And so there's really kind of this process, it sounds like, that you went through to kind of land where you felt God was really leading you to.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I'll have to hear more another day about that sports radio. You'll fit right in here with some of that stuff. So that's great. So tell me a little bit about, what a good student ministry looks like, or what are some of the critical components or key elements of a vibrant student ministry in your experience?
I think there are 4 things come to mind. I think first is a place in which students can live out their identity, where they feel safe, where they can also grow into their identity, because, the identity is not fully formed. And so a place where they feel welcome and safe to figure out who they are and who God has created and called them to be. So I think that's super crucial for any student ministry. Outside of that, I think creating opportunities for leadership development is also key. I think students have a high capacity to lead. And I think that they're not just the leaders of the church tomorrow, but they can lead the church now and help the church become more faithful in the church's mission. So creating opportunities for them to lead not just in the youth ministry, but also in the entire life of the church.
Right.
And then I also think that healthy student ministries create space. They have space for fun. I love fun, and I think that's great, but also create space to go deep, to ask questions, to wrestle with questions about God and faith, because we all have these deep questions. And I think students especially do, where they find themselves in their just development and spiritual journey and life journey. And so creating opportunities to go and wrestle with the difficult, deep questions of what it means to be human, what it means to be a Christ follower, all of that. And then lastly, I think creating opportunities for spiritual formation. I think looking back, I wish I would have had more opportunities for that when I was in student ministry, because that could help me going forward to not just rely on my parents' faith or the faith from my church community, but to really live out my faith, when I went to college and then when I graduated. And so creating opportunities for spiritual formation, because I think that is key for not just student ministry, but the church in general.
Oh yeah, I really resonate with that. I talk a lot about, endurable and portable faith, that faith that you can take with you and lasts as you run into those issues. And I think, one of the things I so enjoy when I've been at youth group has been those deeper conversations, because students have great insight.
Yes.
It's different when you're talking with your own student, I think, but when you're there and you're talking with a group of students, they bring up things that I would never have thought about.
Yes.
And so that's always a cool blessing for me, but also speaks to me about just their ability and their talent. And I just so appreciate the opportunity for them to develop that and not have to wait. And all of a sudden, I'm out here in this new world, I'm facing these issues. They're facing issues today, and they haven't been given the tools to do that. So I'm right on with you.
Yeah.
That said, Jared, what is it you enjoy most? Like, what's something you enjoy a lot about student ministry? There's a lot of things, I'm sure. You wouldn't be doing this. You wouldn't follow this calling if you didn't. But what's something that you're particularly passionate about?
I think hitting on the deep conversations again. I love that. I love being able to sit with a student or a group of students and just hear their perspectives and work that out together. There have been times that, I've come to a conversation and there's something that a student has said that has changed my thoughts or how I see the world. And so that has just been so life-giving for me, is to be able to have those deep conversations where we're both participating in the conversation. It's not that I'm just out here, guiding the conversation, but I'm also entering into it to learn and to hear other people's perspectives. So I'd say that. And I'd also say, again, hitting on leadership, empowering students to live out their call, to live out leadership in the church. I think that has been so life-giving to me, to see students step up and take initiative, whether it's leading a youth group or starting a new Bible study or things like that. That's been so life-giving for me.
Yeah. And as you speak, it strikes me that we live in a time and in a place where deep conversations are so necessary, but are so kind of countercultural these days. We rush from one thing to the other. We fill our lives, and even as students, so the lives of our students, with one activity after the other. And there's very little time or place to have deep conversation with some really unique challenges in history that we face. And so the idea of creating a place where students can really have a safe place to dig into those things would to me seem like incredibly valuable, but also something you're going to have to really intentionally work towards, because it is countercultural.
Yeah. And I think too that, like, as you said, we find ourselves in this particular place in this particular time where we need to have these conversations. And that's not just for teens, but the entire church. And I see teens and students as having the potential to model for the entire church and the entire world what it means to be people who are willing to engage in the difficult conversations.
Yeah, that's great. So something about Jared that makes you Jared, something unique. I know you drink copious amounts of coffee.
Yeah.
What else is unique about Jared?
I have water boiling right now to make coffee. I thought maybe I could make some before this meeting, but I ran out of time. So besides coffee, I love having hot takes and debating hot takes over things that don't really matter. So for example, I got into many debates at my last church over which form of Reese's is better. Reese's cups or Reese's shapes.
Well, it's clearly not shapes. I mean, that's really not of a debate, is it? So
no, it's clearly shapes. I'm team shapes all day. Or the fact that like strawberries are the most overrated berries in the world. Which my son, I was a little worried because at first my son loved strawberries, but now he does not. He doesn't eat strawberries, so I'm pretty proud of him. That's a proud dad moment.
Yeah, wow. Well, clearly you don't eat a lot of biscuits because biscuits go well with strawberry jelly. So anyway, so you mentioned a son. Tell us about family.
Yeah, so I am married. My wife and I have been married. It'll be 7 years in June. So we met each other at Mount Vernon Nazarene University, where we went to college, and we specifically met on a trip that we took. So we went to Israel together. That would have been my sophomore year, her junior year. And the first time I remember seeing her. Now you have to ask her version of the story, because she says it differs a little bit, but this is what happened according to me. And so we were by the Sea of Galilee. This is the first time I ever remember seeing her, which I had to have seen her before because it wasn't that large of a trip. And this was probably like day 3 or 4. But we were by the Sea of Galilee in the early morning. The sun was reflecting off the water. And I like looked over and I was like, she's beautiful. I need to talk to her. So talked with her. We got a picture there with two of my friends who also actually met in Israel and got married. And then I spent the rest of the trip trying to figure out like, how do I, start to build this relationship with her and everything. And so over the next few months, we started hanging out, things like that. And then she eventually said yes to date me. And then we got engaged about a year after we started dating. I graduated, she graduated before me. So I graduated then, after I graduated, we got married. And then our first son, our first child, his name's Asher. And he was born in April last year. So he's almost a year old, and he's awesome. And I love just like looking at him and thinking about how what his worldview will be and how his understanding of the world and faith will be, and how that will shape me. And so, that's our little family. We also have a dog. She's currently not, some of our friends are watching her right now for the transition, but we're going to hopefully bring her back in a few months. So
that's great. Well, that's great. Well, thank you. Well, we're really excited to hear Jared, and I look forward to being with you and your family, your beautiful family, and having some great work together as we work together for the presence of Christ in our community. So we're excited too. We're super excited. We've loved the community that we've experienced so far, and we love the Florida weather too. It's a good time of year. It's been amazing. Yeah. Well, good. Well, we'll see you in church on Sunday. Yep. And Sunday night's my first Elevate, so make sure your student is there. That's right. Yeah. And I understand that you're going to be sharing some of your story. And so it's a great week to come. And so if you have a student or a grand student, be sure to let them know. It's a great way to introduce. And that begins at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. Yep. Excellent. We'll see you there.